Okay, today we will see the last concept in sixth unit, that is introduction to vibration. Okay, the one thing is that it is completely theory. Okay, theory, and we have few numericals. Okay, numericals are on only one type of numericals are there. Only the thing is that you have to should know the deflections, maximum deflections for different kinds of beams. Okay, for simply supported beam, cantilever beam, for various loadings. Okay, so the theory that we are going to see is completely that you have learned in 11th and 12th standard. Okay, 11th and 12th PU. So just we will go through it, and this application we are using in the determining the vibration in the structures. Okay, so first going to that, we will see what is vibration. Okay, vibration is nothing but it is a cyclic motion of a body or a system due to elastic deformations, due to elastic deformation of a external force. Suppose if you take any scale, say steel, okay, if you take any steel scale, just you are holding here. Okay, this is in the state of equilibrium, correct? Your mild steel scale, say 30 meters, 30 centimeter scale you are having, you are holding at the one end and another end is free. So now it is in the state of equilibrium. Okay, when you apply a force, okay, when you pull it and just when you release it, there will be a vibration created in it. There will be a vibration created in it. This is nothing but a disturbance in the system. Okay, it will be in a cyclic motion. If you take an example of pendulum, okay, it will be in a cyclic motion. So, and this vibration is unwanted for us in a structure. If you are a civil engineering or any automobile or mechanical engineering, so this vibration is unwanted for us. So we have to come over this vibration. So before going to that one, we have different states. Okay, this is a neutral state. Okay, where the body will be in state of equilibrium. Then this is a uh, stable state. Okay, if you leave the ball, any ball from this point or any from this point, it will come and it will stay at this point. Okay, and this is an unstable point. If you put any external forces, it will go out of the system. Okay, so today we will see about this equilibrium state. So don't join in between. Okay, here also you can see, say this is our fixed end spring system. You can call it as a spring system. Okay, this is a mass. Okay, now this is in a equilibrium state, or you can call it as in a stable state. So when you apply a force, say F or P, when you apply the force means you are pulling it downwards, and when you release, okay, there will be a cyclic motion, means upward and downward motion. Actually in vibration, what it happens, the main phenomena is that kinetic energy will be converted into potential energy. I will write it here. Kinetic energy will be converted into potential energy, and potential energy will be converted into kinetic energy. Okay, the process will be keep on going. Kinetic energy to potential energy to kinetic energy, and again kinetic energy to potential energy. And what is the vibration? So that in a cycle, okay, not with the shock absorber cycles, with a normal cycle, you are going in a rough road. Okay, so see that vibration, or you can say the difference between the vibration is normal bus or government bus versus going in a Volvo. Volvo bus. Okay, here you will have a lot of vibration compared to the Volvo bus or buses. You need dampers, shock absorbers, or some good of vibration will be in the bus compared to because here in the vehicle damping station that they want to read the version. This is the main thing to understand the what means the vibration. We don't want this vibration. Okay, while doing a journey, if there is a lot of vibration, there will be a disturbance to your body. Correct. So we don't want that vibration. So to overcome that type vibration, what we should do? So that thing we will see in the chapters. Okay, and the most of the thing that you have already learned in the 12th standard, that is what you mean by harmonic motion. Okay, what you mean by frequency, what you mean by time period. Okay, what you mean by amplitude, stiffness. Okay, these are all things you have learned in the 12th standard, but also will repeat it. So we will go what is the mechanism of vibration. See, you can consider this one as an example. Okay. When an elastic body is displaced from its equilibrium position, this is the equilibrium position. Displaced from its equilibrium position, work is done by external producing the displacement formula. So you can see the displacement. I will call it as x, and I will here it as you can see the displacement. The work has with the force. Displacement formula against the initial elastic force. Okay. This work done is stored in the body as an elastic strain energy. You can also call it as an internal potential energy. Okay. When external force is removed, suppose if you remove this force, okay, then it will go back to so when the external force is removed, the internal elastic causes the body to restore its to equilibrium. For example, take a say this is a rubber band. Okay, when you apply the force, okay, it will be extended up to this much. Say delta. This is your L, and this will be the total length will be L plus delta. Okay, there will be the displacement or any deformation. If you take the beam, okay, when you apply the load, there will be deformation of the beam. Don't come so initial length or initial position. Just remember elastic and plastic. Okay, when the force is removed, the internal elastic forces causes the body to restore to its equilibrium position. Here we are applying the force to the rubber. When you release it, so it will go to its original position. Okay. At the instant body reaches its equilibrium position, complete elastic strain energy is converted into what? Kinetic energy. You know what is strain? Strain energy, okay, will be converted into the kinetic energy. So what are the causes of the vibrations? What makes the material or a structure to go under the vibrations? The first thing is that unbalanced force and couples. Okay, see, you know what is couple? Sorry, this is F and this is F. Okay, you can take an example of cycle. Okay, you have a pedals. Okay. I'm not very bad in drawing the diagram. Okay, this is your cycle pedal. Just assume this is your cycle pedal. Okay, this is also an example for the couple. Okay, here the forces will be same. Okay, the forces acting in the opposite direction separated by a distance d will be same. Okay, suppose if there are any unequal forces, say F1 and F2, where F1 is not equals to F2, then there is a cause of what? Vibration. So unbalanced force or couples causes the vibrations. Next one, external excitation force applied on the floor. External forces also causes the vibrations. Then dry friction. Suppose this is your floor. Okay. Say this is your classroom. Correct. I'm giving an example for dry friction. And there is here you have a desk. Okay, where you will sit in the classroom. Okay, so this is the position A and this is the position B. So you want to take this desk to this place. Okay, while just pulling it, okay, obviously you won't lift it. Okay, so the single person or two persons, what they will do, just they will drag from position A to position B. So due to the friction between the desk and the floor creates the sound. That sound is nothing but the vibration, and that is not good for the buildings or any other elements. Then we have wind. Okay, winds also causes the vibrations. Examples in electrical poles. Okay, high-rise buildings. Examples like high-rise building, electrical poles. Okay, skyscrapers, skyscrapers. Okay, these are some examples for the wind. Then yesterday we have seen about the earthquake. Okay, earthquake also create the vibrations. Okay, then what are the disadvantages? See, we have seen the causes. Now what are the advantages and disadvantages? Disadvantages of vibrations. First we will see the advantages. See, in as a civil engineer, vibration is not good for the building. Okay. Then where these vibration are useful? These are only useful in musical instruments. Okay. These are useful in the musical instruments. Guys, disturbing me a lot. Okay. For example, guitar, sitar, etc. Then these are useful in shoe shakers, any type of shaker. You can take example of mechanical shoe shaker used for the grade analysis of fine aggregate and coarse aggregate. Okay, in conveyors also, conveyor belts. Okay, for grading, and in stress relieving equipments. Okay, then what are the disadvantages? Okay, the first one is it creates excessive stress in the any system. Then it leads to losing of the joints. Say there is a vibration. This is my frame structure. Okay, if there are any vibration means this joint can be breakdown or this joint can be breakdown. Suppose there is a wind load or earthquake loads, I will call it is lateral loads. Okay, so there may be a breakdown of the joints at these points. Okay, or losing of the joints. Or it can completely lead to the failure of the structures. Here they are losing of the joints or failure of the buildings. Okay, and it will create the noise. So these are the some disadvantages of vibrations. So methods of reducing the effects of undesirable vibrations. So how to reduce these vibrations? Okay, the first thing is that by removing unbalanced force. So initially I have said that the main causes for the vibration is that unbalanced force and couples. So what we are doing now, we will remove the unbalanced force of couple. Suppose here there is a force of 10 kilonewton acting at this point, and here it is of 8 kilonewton acting. Either you can reduce 2 kilonewton here or you can add 12 kilonewton here. By doing so, we are keeping it in a equilibrium state. Okay. By providing the isolators which will reduce the vibrations, by providing soundproof glass, or you can call it as screens also. Then provide shock absorbers. Okay. These are the some methods to remove the vibrations. And take it dampers also. Okay. Then we will see some of the basic terminologies. Okay, like simple harmonic motion, time period, frequency, amplitude, stiffness of the spring. Okay. This is your 0, 90 degree, 180, 270, and this is 360. Okay. This I will call it as a capital X. Is nothing but the amplitude. I hope you all know these things. Suppose if I draw this in a circular form and I want to determine the amplitude of, so I will call this one as a height X. Okay. Okay. So this is my point X. Okay. This one I'm taking it here. I'll call this one as a point P. This is theta, which will be equals to, they won't ask any expressions or anything. So I want this height X, so which is given by sine theta. Sine theta will be equals to X upon capital X. Okay, theta, I want this small x, this will be equals to capital X into sine theta. X, sine theta, theta can be written as W into t. Okay, where small x is the displacement of a point from mean position after the time t. Suppose I want to determine the displacement at this point, means here you can determine, or here you can determine, here we can take the x value at any point with respect to time. Okay, capital X will be nothing but, initially I have said, the maximum displacement of a point. Suppose this is your pendulum, say it will go at this point. Okay, this is nothing but the maximum displacement that the pendulum has made. Okay, so this is nothing but the displacement. Now I got the displacement of a point with respect to time, correct? Now if I want the velocity, what I will do, just I will differentiate x. Okay, that is dx upon dt with respect to t. I will call this one as x dot, that is single differentiation, which will be equals to differentiate t. Okay, sorry, this equation with respect to t. So w will be the constant, so I will take it outside, which will be equals to w into x, capital X, and the differentiation of sign will be cos w t. So we can write it as w into x cos w t. Okay, this will be our velocity. Now if I want the acceleration, means I will double differentiate it. Okay, I will call this one as x double dot. So I will differentiate velocity with respect to t. So here we have w as the constant, so we will take it outside, and the differentiation of cos will be minus sign, therefore minus w square capital X into sin wt. This can be written as x double dot will be equals to minus w square x into sin wt. Correct? Now this can be rewritten as x double dot equals to minus w square into x. If I call this one as equation A, B, C, okay, from x sin wt is nothing but the x, correct? Just substitute here. This x sin w2 will be replaced by x. Okay, so this can be written as x double dot equals to minus omega, you can call it as omega or w x. Okay, see, from the above equation we can say that the acceleration is directly proportional to what? Displacement. Acceleration is directly proportional to displacement. Okay, so from the above equation I will rewrite it here, x double dot equals to minus w into x. Okay, from this we can say the simple harmonic equation such as such a motion whose acceleration is proportional to the displacement from mean position and is directed towards the mean position is nothing but the simple harmonic motion. correct? Where acceleration is directly proportional to displacement from mean position and is directed towards the mean position is nothing but the simple harmonic motion. So the above equation is nothing but the fundamental equation of simple harmonic motion. If in MCQs, if we ask, okay, which is the fundamental equation of simple harmonic motion, you can write. So this can rewritten as, see, x double dot is the equals to minus wx square, which can be rewritten as, so these take this thing to another end, which will be equals to x double dot plus omega square into x, which is equals to 0. Okay, this is nothing but the fundamental equation of simple harmonic motion. Simple harmonic motion equation. In MCQs, if you ask means, which is the fundamental simple harmonic equation, means just click the option for this one. Okay, so we have seen about the simple harmonic motion. Then we have time period. It is denoted by TP, or you can take it as capital TP, or you can take it as T. Okay, time period is the time taken by the motion to repeat itself. Okay, or it is the time required to complete one cycle. Time required to complete how much? One cycle is nothing but the time period, and keep it in mind, it is always, it will be in seconds. What is time period? It is the time taken to complete one cycle is nothing but the time period, and it is given by Tp. It is equals to 2 pi upon omega or W, whatever you can call it. Okay, Tp upon 2 pi omega, which is in terms of second. Just remember the formulas. Okay, then we have frequency, small f. We know all, we have already know that it is the reciprocal of time period. Okay, so how will define the frequency? Frequency is the number of cycle per unit time. See, number of cycle per unit time is nothing but the frequency. This can be written as 1 upon Tp. Okay, if you substitute the value of Tp, 1 upon Tp is how much? 2 pi upon omega or W. Okay, therefore this can be written as W upon 2 pi. Okay, this will be in terms of hertz. Okay. Just remember, we will ask the definitions. Then we have amplitude. Initially I have said what is amplitude. Amplitude is nothing but the maximum displacement of vibrating body, okay, from its mean position is nothing but the amplitude. Okay, for example, this is your scale. You have applied the force and left it. So in while vibrating, it vibrated up to this point, the extreme, the maximum displacement. Okay, this is nothing but the amplitude. Next, stiffness of the spring. This is important one, keep it in mind. Okay, what is the stiffness of the spring? It is the force required to produce, remember, force required to produce unit displacement. Okay, force required to produce what? Unit displacement. Therefore K can be written as force upon unit displacement is nothing but the stiffness of a spring. If you remember the formula, then you can easily write the definition also. Okay, force required per unit deflection, and it is given in force will be in Newton, and the displacement will be in terms of meter. Okay, then we have degree of freedom. You know what is degree of freedom? Single degree of freedom. We have already learnt about this. Multiple degree of freedom. Okay, what is the degree of freedom? The minimum number of independent coordinates. I will repeat, the minimum number of independent coordinates required specifying the motion or configuration of a system at any instant is known as degree of freedom of that system. Okay, number of coordinates required. Is nothing but the degree of freedom. Here we have 2 degree of freedom, single degree of freedom, 2 degree of freedom, 3 degree of freedom, and multi degree of freedoms. Okay. Example for single degree of freedom is the initial which I have drawn. Here this is your mass, and this is your stiffness of the spring. So it is how many coordinates are required? 1 coordinates are required. So this is the 1 degree of freedom. Suppose for 2 degree of freedom, this is M1, this is M2, K1, K2. Here I need X1, I need X2. Therefore it is 2 degree of freedom. Suppose if you want to determine 3 means, it will be addition of this one, M1, K1, X1, M2, K2, X2, M3, K3, X3. This is 3 degree of freedom. Okay, so if you take a beam, we have n number of displacement. Okay, so we can say if a system having the finite, which we can count, okay, finite number of degree of freedom, then it as discrete or lumped system. Suppose if there are infinite number of degree of freedoms, okay, if you, which we can't count it, so these are called as continuous or distributed system. Okay, for example, if you are taking a beam, okay, subjected to UDL, here we have the deflection. So we will call this one as, we are finding only one point, so we will call it as 1 degree of freedom. Suppose for simply supported beam also, I am applying the point load. I want to determine the displacement at this point. This is also single degree of freedom. If you take the frame structure, I am applying one horizontal force at this joint, so the frame will be sway like this. So I am finding only this one, so I will call this one as single degree of freedom. Okay. Next we have damping. Okay, I was, while solving ERS numericals and starting also, I have said what do you mean by damping. Damping is the resistance to the motion of vibrating body. Okay, is nothing but the damping, the resistance to the motion of vibrating body, which causes vibrating body to come to rest or equilibrium position. Suppose this is your scale, okay. I applied the and just I pulled it, okay, and it is vibrating. You can take the example of tuning fork also. You know what is tuning fork? It will be of steel like this. Okay, they have done experiment in 12th for the experiment of resonance, I think. Okay, so we'll come to here. So this is a stainless steel scale. So I hold it at this point and made to vibrate it. So what I will do, I will bring my finger. Okay, I will bring my finger and just touch it. So what will happen? Its vibration will goes on reducing, and at finally when it come at this point, it will come to the rest or equilibrium state. It is nothing but the damping. So I will repeat what is damping. Damping is the resistance to the motion of vibrating body which causes a vibrating body to come to rest or equilibrium position. Next we have, in this chapter they will ask maximum the definitions and one numericals, one simple numericals. Okay, just try to remember the definitions. Damping coefficient. Okay, what do you mean by damping coefficient? It is the damping force or resisting force developed per unit velocity. What is the main role of damping? It resists. Okay, so resisting force developed per unit velocity. So today the system is hanging a lot. Okay, so if there are any breakdown between the words, means just ignore it. Okay, so what is the main role of damping? It is a resisting force, okay, which reduces the vibration. So what you mean by damping coefficient? It is nothing but the resisting force developed per unit velocity. Therefore, C equals to what? F upon V. F, it will be in terms of Newton. Okay, velocity will be in terms of meter per second. So C equals to F upon V, and its unit will be Newton second per meter. Okay, just remember it. The damping coefficient, the Newton unit will be Newton second per meter. Next, resonance. Okay, what is the resonance? We have already done experiment on it also. Taking the tuning fork, okay, say this is your cube, okay. What you do, you just hit the tuning fork and it start vibrating, okay, and you will come and you will bring the tuning fork and hold at this point, so to hear the sound, correct? So it is nothing but the when the external force acting on a body which is equals to the natural frequency of vibrating body, and become both they become equals, then there will be a production of a lot of sound. Okay, that is nothing but the resonance. For example, uh, see, this is this is a tough road or a rough road. Okay, this is your car. Moving in this direction. This is a plain road and this is a rough road. Okay, see, while going in a plain road, and this is a old vehicle, Okay, this is the world vehicle which whose spare parts are very weak. Okay, even if it is going in a plain road, it vibrates a lot. Okay, it vibrates a lot. So when I take the same vehicle in a rough road or more undulated road on unevenest road, so initially when it was going in a plain road, it was vibrating a lot. Okay, when you take in a rough road, it vibrates such that the vibration created due to the road and the vibration which was presented in the body in a car, which adds up. Okay, and when it matches, it creates a maximum vibrations. There will be a lot vibration, more vibration, which may cause of completely losing of the vehicle parts or any breakdown or any joint failure like that. Okay, this is nothing but the resonance. When the frequency of external force acting on a body is equal to natural frequency, see, this is the external force. When the external force acting on a body is equal to natural frequency of a vibrating body, then the body vibrates with the extremely large amplitude. Such state is known as resonance. So here this car moving in a rough road vibrates extremely with large amplitude, which will result in the breakdown of the vehicle. This is nothing but the resonance. Then now we have seen the springs. So we have seen about the springs and dampers. So here we will see the springs are in series here and parallel. Series, dampers are in series, parallel. See, what is spring? Spring is nothing but your elastic member. Just remember in the mind. You may ask, sir, in beam where we will use the spring? No, it is not a good question. Here, spring is nothing but your elastic member, not plastic. Okay. What are the dampers? Dampers are nothing but the shock absorbers. Okay, which reduces the vibration. So here we will see the springs are in series when they are in parallel. What we should take the effective spring effect. Okay, spring stiffness. So when dampers are in series and parallels, we will see what are the conditions. So in 12th also you have seen resistors in series and parallel. Okay, capacitors series and parallels. Okay, here also the same thing is applying when springs are in parallel series, dampers when they are in series and parallel. Okay, the first thing we will take springs in series. Okay, okay. See, if I draw the diagram, first I will draw the diagram for springs which are in series. Series means joining hand to hand. Okay, okay. This is see here you can see the springs are connected in series. So the total actual deflection total deflection in a system is equals to uh, sum of the individual deflections, correct? See, if I am applying the forces, say here it is deflecting about around 10 mm, here it is deflecting around 15, say 5 mm, okay? Then the total, it will be deflected how much? The total deflection, it will be 15 mm, correct? Therefore, what I will write? Total deflection will be equals to deflection of first spring and the second spring. I hope you got it. Okay. Here you have one spring. Here you have one spring. It is deflecting for 10 mm. This is deflecting for 5 mm. Therefore, the total displacement, it will be around 15 mm. Correct. Now, the force acting on actual system is same as the force acting on the individual spring. See, here we have the mass same for K2 and K1. Today what happened? Sorry, it is hanging a lot. System is hanging a lot. Okay, here you can see the mass is same for K1 and K2. Therefore, I can write it as mg is equals to m1g, which is equals to m2g. Gravity is same for everything. Okay. K1 is not having different mass, K2 is not having different mass. It is attached to the equal mass. Am I audible? Okay. So these two things are most important. Okay. Now, we know that the deflection of equivalent spring will be equals to deflection of actual spring. Correct? Therefore, delta will be equals to delta 1 plus delta 2, and mass will be equals to mg1, which is equals to m2g. Correct? सर विंडो बंद कर दो. Here, mg of equivalent will be equals to individual one into individual here mg g. This will be equals to 1 upon ke equals to 1 upon k1 plus 1 upon k2. Okay. Just remember, this is the case where the springs are in series. Okay. If you have n number of springs means you can take it as K4, so on up to 1 upon Km. Okay. Similarly, in parallel condition, okay, if you draw the diagram, this will be the total mass K1, K2. Okay. This is the figure which shows the two springs in parallel having stiffness K1 and K2. Okay. Now here you can see the total deflection. Okay. If it is causing 5 mm deflection means K2 will be also creates 5 mm deflection. Okay, therefore the total deflection will be around how much? 5 mm. Okay, here I can write it as delta total deflection will be equals to delta 1 plus delta 2. Okay, and total mass will be equals to m1 plus m2. Okay, because here, sorry, here the K1 spring, the first spring is connected with the mass of M1 and K2 spring is connected with the mass of M2. Okay, if you add this total, it will be M into G. Okay, this can be written as Ke into delta K1 delta plus K delta 1 this one is applied delta is equals to delta 1 plus delta 2, therefore Ke will be equals to K1 plus K2. Okay, when springs are in parallel, the effective spring it will be equals to summation of K1 and K2, summation of the springs. Okay, similarly in dampers the same formula is executed. Okay, this is C1, C2. Okay, these are the dampers which are in series. Okay, the formula will be the same as for the springs. Okay, 1 upon Ce will be equals to 1 upon C1 plus 1 upon C2. Okay, they won't ask any derivations. Just remember when springs are in sorry dampers are in parallel, connected to the mass, therefore effective damping will be equals to C1 plus C2. Okay, if you remember for either for you remember either for spring or either for the dampers, the condition will be the same. Okay, series parallel. Okay, here it will be for series K upon 1 plus K1 plus 1 K2. Here it will be K equals to K1 plus K2. Okay, for dampers also same, 1 upon Ce equals to 1 upon C1 plus 1 upon C2. Ce equals to C1 plus C2. Okay, just remember it. So we are coming to the most important thing is that type of vibrations. He asked in the exams a lot, means just to define the terms for different type of terms. Okay, so we have different type of vibrations. First one, according to acting force. So here we have two. According to acting forces, we have free vibration. Another one we have force. And another thing is that the word itself gives you the definitions. Okay, don't get confused. Forced vibration. Okay, second one we have according to external resistance. External resistance to the vibration. So here we have undamped vibration. Undamped vibration is nothing means we are not using any dampers to reduce the vibration, correct? So damped vibration is nothing but we are using a certain thing which reduces the vibration. Free vibration means which will vibrate on its own. Forced vibration means of the application of the force. Okay, undamped vibration, damped vibration. So the word itself says the definitions or meaning. Okay, now according to with respect to axis. So here we have three types. One is longitudinal vibration, next transverse vibration, another one is torsional. In longitudinal vibration, the vibration will be along to the axis, okay. In transverse direction, if this is the axis, okay, and in transverse direction, it will be the perpendicular to the axis. The vibration will be perpendicular to the axis. Just remember in mind. First one I'll explain. Afterwards also I will explain. Just I will give a glance here. Longitudinal direction means suppose this is my axis, okay. The vibration will be along the axis. Is nothing but the longitudinal vibration. Now, okay, this is line is axis. If the vibration is perpendicular to the axis, then it will be the transverse vibration, and torsional means rotational vibration. Okay, torsional vibration. Next one, fourth one, according to behavior of vibrating system. According to behavior, here we have two: linear vibration, non-linear vibration. Next one, we have according to magnitude of acting forces at a given time. Magnitude. Here we have two types: deterministic vibration. Next one is random vibration. Okay, so these are the different types of vibration. So the first one is, we will go one by one. Free vibration. Okay, what is the free vibration? If the external force is removed after giving an initial displacement to the system, then the system vibrates on its own due to internal elastic forces. This is nothing but the free vibration. Okay. For this is example for this one is simple pendulum. Okay. Here what? Just by giving an initial force, it starts to vibrate. Okay. From its initial position is nothing but the free vibration. Example is oscillation of simple pendulum. Next one we have force. If a system or a body is subjected to periodic external forces, then resulting vibration are known as forced vibration. Okay, with the help of the external forces, it vibrates means it is nothing but the forced vibration. Example, electric motor. Okay, centrifugal pump. These are the example for the forced vibration. Next, we have undamped vibration. Initially, I have said what is undamped vibration. If there is no external resistance to the vibration, then such vibration are known as undamped vibration. No dampers is nothing but the undamped vibration. Next one we have damped vibration. If an external force resisting external resistance is provided to the vibrating system, then such vibration are known as damped vibration. Okay. Example, bike with shock absorbers. Okay. Next one we have longitudinal vibration. If the disc move up and If there is a vibration along the shaft or along the axis, then it is nothing but the longitudinal vibration. Suppose this is your shaft, okay, this is the axis, this is your mass, okay, this is at position, this is initial position, I will call it as A, the other positions I will call it as B, okay. So this is my initial position, and these position are due to due to the some, what you say, vibration, okay, or disturbance. So this, I will call this one as a disk, okay. So it moves up and it moves down, but it is moving along the axis. It's nothing but the longitudinal vibration. Next one, we have transverse direction. So transverse vibration. If the disk move approximately to the or axis, then the vibration is nothing but the transverse direction. Suppose this is your mass, okay. It is a rigid one, okay. It moves perpendicular. The axis, then it is nothing but the transverse vibration. Next one, we have torsional vibration. If the disk rotates about the axis of the shaft, such or get twisted or untwisted alternately, then the vibrations are known as torsional vibration. Suppose this is your disk, okay. If I see from the bottom, okay, the disk would look this. If it gets untwisted, okay, and if there is a creation of any vibration, is nothing but the torsional vibration. Then we have linear vibration. In a vibrating system, if basic components such as spring, mass, and another thing, in MCQs you may ask, basic components of, if you ask any, what are the basic components of vibrating system, it will be spring, mass, and dampers. Okay, just in your mind, these are the basic components: mass and dampers. So in linear vibration, if these three components behave linearly, okay, then the resulting vibration is nothing but the linear vibration. In a vibrating system, if basic components behave linearly, then the resulting vibrations are known as linear vibrations. For example, vibration of spring. Non-linear vibration is nothing but if any of the three basic components of vibrating system behave non-linearly, then the resulting vibrations are known as linear vibration. Then we have deterministic vibration. If the magnitude of external forces acting on a is known at any given, okay, the expression is known as deterministic vibration. See, suppose any external force on a body and sorry, action on a, and if we are to determine the vibration, and or any, then is deterministic vibration. Then what is we have vibration. So if we are not to predict, if we are not able to predict the vibration at any given, so it is a random vibration. Sorry, random will be like this, which we are not able to predict when the external forces is acting on a body, and we are not able to predict the magnitude or vibration at that time is nothing but the random vibration. Okay. And finally, we have some numericals. Okay. Anybody having doubt up to this point? I will go for the solving numericals. Yeah. Anybody having doubt? Okay. Directly we will go for the solving the numericals. I will take the numerical. These are very simple numerical. Just you have to determine. You should know the deflections for different types of beams. Okay. Just I will take the question. Okay, the question is like this: determine the natural frequency of the system as shown in the figure, consisting of weight 250 Newton. And one more thing here, just take care of the units. Okay, in which units he has given. Attached to a horizontal cantilever beam through the coil spring. Okay, of stiffness 30 Newton Newton per centimeter. Okay, nor he has not given in terms of meter. Either you can convert it into meter or you can solve the numerical using centimeter also. The cantilever beam is of 2.5 centimeter wide and 0.5 centimeter deep and span of 5 meter. Okay, it is 2.5 and 0.5. Not okay. Take Young's modulus he has given 2 into 10 power 5 megapascal. Okay, so this is a cantilever beam. Span is of 5 centimeter. He has given the value of K. Okay, stiffness he has given K equals to 13 Newton per centimeter square. Weight he has given. Okay, and he says to determine the natural frequency. flow one by WL cube upon 3EI. Okay, you should know this is the most important thing. You should know the maximum deflection for different types of beams. Okay, then only you can solve the numerical. So we know this delta value. What is the formula for K? What is K? K is nothing but the force required for unit deflection. That is P upon delta. Correct? What is the value of P here? 1 second. Okay. So P divided by delta. What is the first value of delta? W, or you can take it as P. Okay. P L cube upon 3EI. Correct? Yeah, this P get cancelled. So take remain to the numerator, that is 3EI upon L cube. Correct? Therefore, K can be written as 3EI upon L cube. Substitute the values. The Young's modulus, how much he has given? 2 into 10 power 5. Okay. And the dimensions he has given as 2.5 and 0.5. Okay. Just convert them into mm. Okay. So I value can be written as, for rectangular it is BD cube by 12. I hope you know. I value equals to BD cube by 12. Just substitute it will be 50 mm. Therefore 50 cube. Therefore the K value it will be 1250 Newton per mm. Correct? We have got the value of K. Means I have got the spring coefficient for this beam. Okay, this is K1. I call this one as K1 and I will call this one as K2. I have got the value of K1 and he has given the value of K2. Okay, and K2 it is how much? 13 Newton per centimeter. Okay, just take care of the units, whether you are taking in mm or you are taking in centimeter. If you convert this to centimeter, it will be 125 Newton per centimeter. Okay, we have got the value of K1 and K2, and these two springs are in series. Okay, K1, K2 attached to the mass. Correct. Therefore, for series we know the formula. The effective stiffness it is given by reciprocal of sum of stiffness. Okay. We have to determine the Ke value 1 upon Ke. What is the value of K1 that we have found it right just now? It is 125, and K2 he has directly given, it is 30. Okay. On solving, we will get Ke equals to 24.19 Newton per centimeter. Okay. Now we have to determine the natural frequency. Okay. As we don't know the time period, so we can't directly calculate the natural frequency. So you have to determine the natural frequency just, and keep it in mind the formula is square root of effective stiffness multiplied by gravity divided by W. Okay. Therefore, just substitute the values. K effective, how much we have got? 24.19. Okay, 9.81 divided by 250, which will be equals to 9.47 radian per second. So we have got the value of W. If we have to determine the frequency, W, we know the formula W upon 2 pi, which is equals to 9.74 upon 2 pi, which will be equals to 1.55 cycles per second. Okay, we have got the value of f. If we ask to determine the value of t, which is equals to reciprocal, okay, 1 upon 1.55, which will be equals to 0.64 second. Okay, this is how we will go for the calculation. I will explain once more. See, this will be the question. The first thing is that we have to determine the stiffness of the concrete member. Okay, so we will find the value of the K for the cantilever beam, which is subjected to the loads. Maximum deflection it is given by WL cube upon 3EI. Okay, after getting the K1 value, the K2 if it is given, go for the K2 and check whether the beams are in the springs are in parallel or series. If they are in series, go for this formula. Find the value of effective stiffness of a spring. Then natural frequency omega it is given by square root of Ke into G upon W. Okay, so we'll get the values in terms of radian per second, and you know the formula for frequency, which is equals to omega upon 2 pi. We'll get the second. Okay, 1.5, and I will calculate the value of t. It is a reciprocal of frequency. Okay, so we will see another problem. Determine the strength of the fixed beam of span L subjected to cantilever load or will neglect the mass of the beam. Okay, he has given the cantilever beam subjected to the load W, and the maximum deflection which is given by WL cube upon 192 EI. So the stiffness it is given by load upon deflection. Okay, P upon delta, where sorry W upon delta, where WW get cancels, it will equals to 192 EI upon L cube. Therefore, directly go for the natural frequencies. Okay, and here he has not mentioned any dimension of the beam, whether it is 250 mm by 300 mm, 300 by 600 mm. So we can't calculate the value of I. So keep it as it is. Now K we have got how much? We have got K equals to how much? 192 EI upon L cube, because he has not given any value of length value or load value or Young's modulus value or any dimension. So EIL will become unknown without values. So keep it as it is. And we know the formula for natural frequency, that is square root of K into G upon W. On solving, you will get natural frequency W equals to K 192 we have taken out from it. 64 3 is a 192. Okay, so it will be the final answer will be 8 into square root of 3 EI G divided by W cube. Okay, the main important thing is that we should know the deflection value. Okay, here also same, find the value of K in formula, you will get and T. Okay, and one more thing, anybody wants can write it down. This is a cantilever beam subjected to point load. The maximum deflection it will be given by, if anybody wants, they can write it down, WL cube upon, or you can take it P also, 3EI. Okay. Suppose a cantilever beam subjected to point load at different at the eccentricity, means not at the center. Okay. The deflection is maximum deflection it is given by PA square into 3L minus A divided by 6 EI. If you don't know this value, then you can't solve the problem. Suppose there is a cantilever beam subjected to UDL. Okay, delta value is given by WL power 4 divided by 8 EI subjected to uniformly varying load. Without these delta values, you can't solve the numericals. Once again, I'm saying WL power 4 divided by 30 EI. Okay. Suppose if it is cantilever beam subjected to a moment at the end, then delta value is given by ml square upon 2 EI. Okay. Suppose if your numerical is used on the simply supported beam. Okay. Supported subject to UDL. I know this is delta equals to WL power 4 by 8. Okay. Suppose you are simply supported subject final loading database 0.0052 so EI and simply supported beam subjected point load at this center and no value 4 upon 48 EI. Then simply supported beam subject to the eccentric loading, say A by upon 3L square minus 4B square divided by EI. Okay. You may ask any kind of loading. Okay. So want or without knowing these, we can solve the numerical. Okay. That equals to W4 divided by 1 EI. Okay. If you want, you can take screenshot also, no problem. Instead of writing down, you can take the screenshot. Anybody having doubt here?